Hello, and thank you for joining us, and especially thank you for your patience as we were having some technical difficulties, which those happen on a regular basis. But hey, we're here. We're excited to be here. I'm Nat Korol, one of the co-founders here at Hyphen, and today we are here to chat with you on how to reframe and rethink your holiday gifting as part of your B2B marketing strategy, not only to help you grow your business positively, but also impact your brand. And joining me for this riveting conversations are our friends from Unwrapit. And I'd love for you ladies to take the lead in introducing yourselves and tell us a little bit about Unwrapit, as well as something unique, interesting about yourselves. And do you like the holidays? Linsay, do you want to start first?
Sure. Thanks so much, Nat. Thanks for having us. I love the holidays. I absolutely do, both professionally and personally. So we're gearing up for that now, obviously. That's exciting. My name is Linsay, and I'm the co-founder of Unwrapit. And we are a digital gifting and incentive platform that allows companies to brand a gifted experience and give gifts in a more sustainable way at scale. And an interesting thing about me, I don't know if it's so much interesting, but it is very much the time of life, the season of life that I'm in right now, is that I'm a mom of two busy kids who are hockey players and soccer players and baseball players and all sorts of things. And we were joking earlier that I'm entering the Uber driver mom era of my life. So that's me in a nutshell at the moment.
Uber driver life. Love it.
Yes.
Sophie?
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. My name is Sophie, excuse me, and I'm customer success at Unwrapit. So yeah, I also love the holidays, as Linsay mentioned. Super busy time for us. And yeah, I'm originally from Ireland, living in Toronto, so I'll be making my way home for the holidays this time. So really looking forward to that as well.
Great. And our very own Tam.
Hi, everyone. Some of you might know me. I'm Tam. I'm client experience lead at Hyphen. And something interesting about me, well, my birthdays are right around the holidays. My family's birthdays are right around the holidays. So it's a very fun and family-filled time for me personally. And a really exciting time for us professionally. And just also wanted to show that we have a little helper today who's going to be doing the live with me. So this is Atticus. She likes the holidays too.
She looks so impressed.
After sleep he goes.
I love that. And just to let our listeners know that Unwrapit is a super cool, sustainable corporate gifting and brand experience platform at scale. Linsay, I'm sure, and Sophie, I did a very brief version, but if you wanted to share a little bit more about what you do, that would be great.
Sure. So we support our customers. We're a B2B platform, and we support our customers to support their gifting efforts or their incentive efforts or whatever that might look like. We are a certified B Corporation. We are also a 1% for the Planet member. And ultimately, the gifts that we offer through our platform are, for the most part, non-physical gifts. So they're things that are experiential, digital, practical gifts. And the idea is that the recipient, at the end of their experience, they're invited into a gifting experience. And at the end of the experience, they're given a choice of gift. And our customers work with us to ultimately curate those gifts, whether it be for their teams. So we do a lot of work internally with HR teams, et cetera. We also do a lot of client and corporate gifting, of course, at this time of the year. That's very big. But also things like events, sales, lead generation, incentive travel, lots of different applications for what we do.
That's great. Thanks for the overview. And I think that's actually perfect entryway for us to start chatting about how to help organizations include their gifting as part of their B2B marketing strategy, but also their overall business strategy. And I found this really insightful statistics in a recent Forbes article that 60% of annual corporate gifts are actually sent during the holidays, which means, in my view, there's not much room for you to stand out, especially in B2B. And we've all heard about this concept of Christmas in July, where B2C organizations start prepping for this holiday season 6 months in advance, making sure that it's strategic, making sure that they, gain value from it, that they build relationships with their clients and customers, and reap the benefits at the end of it all. But in B2B, it hasn't necessarily been a big component of strategy. And I just wanted to throw it out to you ladies, is where do you think organizations should start thinking about incorporating this really incredible and impactful piece of relationship building within their strategy? What should they start with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll jump in, Soph, and then I'll throw it over to you. I think they should start with intentionality, right? And being really intentional about what they want to do. And I think you just nailed it, Nat. I think ultimately in the B2C world, they're often working 6 months or more ahead of the curve, and not necessarily is that always the case in B2B. We certainly see it. Soph can speak to this. We have a lot of folks coming to us at fairly last moment, asking if we can support, which of course we can. But I think ultimately, if you're thinking intentionally from an earlier stage, you can be a lot more thoughtful about what you're actually doing and really weave in what you're doing at your end of year gifting with all of your other marketing efforts throughout the year. It seems kind of silly to do something that is completely departs from your values, et cetera, throughout the year, to ultimately do something very different at the holiday season. And unfortunately that happens because it gets left, and people are busy, and it's often an afterthought. So I think intentionality and thinking about it early on is just really, really key. What do you think, Soph? You're the one doing it with our customers all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I think for a lot of people, the whole concept can be kind of quite overwhelming. It's how you do it, what do you give, how much do you give, who do you give, but I think the main thing to think of is like, why are you doing it? Like when it comes to gifting, a little bit of thought in advance can go a huge long way, and it shouldn't be a tick box exercise because you feel like you have to do it and you're just doing something for the sake of it. As you say, like intentionality and the why behind what you're doing is so important. And yeah, we do get the lastminute.com commerce, but that's okay. But if at all possible, a little bit of thought in advance can be of great benefit.
Yeah. That's so impactful, to use the word of the day. It probably will be, is just giving it a bit of thought, thinking about how and why you're doing this, because there's also incredible need out there, I think, because there's another survey that I read that said that like 97% of recipients appreciate and feel valued when they receive a gift. So, especially if it's a thoughtful gift, that will go a much, much farther way. So from that perspective, do you think that by being unintentional, that organizations might be hurting their credibility or their brand, and in which ways, if they're just kind of doing the last minute thing and, let's say, for a lack of a better example, but just sending out a basic gift basket?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things where, ultimately it's the thought that counts in a lot of cases, for sure. But going back to that first kind of conversation around intentionality, that little push more and putting it into something that's been really carefully constructed and thought out, I think is really, it can be very valuable. And I think ultimately, as I was saying a moment ago, if your values are such that they are throughout the year, and you're doing all these incredible things internally with your team and externally with your clients, and then ultimately you come to the end of the year and you think, we just got to do something. It can fall flat. And, we have some customers who actually, you mentioned it, Nat, a lot of the giving is given in and around the holiday season. It's okay to potentially wait and do it as a New Year thing, do it potentially at a different time of the year, do something around a particular day or holiday day that means a lot to your business. It could be, Earth Day or something like that, for example. And so again, I think it's about the medium and the message, right? And bringing those two things together and making sure that they match.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's a good way to, in our example, we curate the list of gift options, so you can use it to see, to one, gift something that the recipient will really enjoy and value, and then there's that positive reinforcement with your brand. But it's also to get to know them and what they hold near and dear to their heart, be it a pay it forward option, be it a local restaurant. It's a way of the relationship building and that side of things as well, which is important around this time, because people get a lot of stuff, so making sure that you're gifting something that they'll use and want and enjoy and value is really important.
Yeah, I think, if I might jump in, I think, going back, Lindsay, to what you said about intentionality and goals is just so important when it comes to holiday gifting, and just thinking outside of the box and looking at it as an opportunity, instead of as an obligation. Which is how I think a lot of companies view holiday gifting, is more of an obligation than as an opportunity. But with tools like Unwrapit, like, you have the opportunity, as Sophie said, to learn more about your customers, learn about what they value and what they hold near and dear. And it's an opportunity to align your values as an organization to your clients or your customers' values as well. So it's an opportunity for a very important touch point. And a lot of companies can sometimes, as Nat said, just do the basic gift basket, which, can fall flat and doesn't necessarily always align with the values and the goals that you're setting forth as an organization throughout the year.
Yeah. Not to bash the gift basket industry, which I know we're totally not here to do.
No.
However, if someone appreciates a gift basket, like, think about what goes into that gift basket, right? Before sending it out. Or help people choose which gift basket they want at the end of the day. And that way they feel like they're more involved and part of this. Which really comes down to this concept of, within the organization, if we're going to recommend to be more personal, to align your company values with the values of whomever receiving is your gift, who should own, on the organizational side, this incredible important responsibility of sending out gifts and making it part of the strategy?
Yeah. So, do you want to jump in there, since you're the one speaking to so many of these great individuals?
Yeah, I suppose maybe I can speak to who we see currently does, and Lindsay, then maybe we can talk about who we think should. I think currently it really varies, to be honest with you, from company to company, to industry. A lot of the people that come to us is kind of a mixture of like a HR function and or a kind of customer or client facing function. That's who we, with some marketing folks and event folks kind of peppered throughout. But for the most part, it's kind of like the HR and the kind of customer facing side is who we see coming to us and who we work with most.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, sorry, Nat.
Go ahead, Lindsay.
I was just going to say, I think the only other group I would add there is Sophie, is probably around like, office admin, kind of that type of a role as well. Someone who kind of has that big picture focus for a business, especially if they're a small team. We probably see that more so in smaller teams.
Yeah.
And do you think who should own it? So we said, like, here's who typically owns it, which in your experience has been HR. In our experience, it varies really across the board. But who should own it?
Yeah. I mean, not every business has a dedicated individual in this type of a role, but we've been having some really interesting conversations recently with folks who are in a sustainability role, right? So head of sustainability, head of CSR, ESG, whatever that role might be. And what I love about those conversations that we're having is that they have, again, that kind of 30,000 foot view over the business as a whole. And they're looking at it, both in a impact strategy way, but also from a marketing perspective. They're very tied into the marketing team. Absolutely. Often they're tied in with sales, but ultimately I like the fact that there's kind of these tentacles throughout the whole business. And we've really had, as I said, a lot of valuable conversations with these individuals, because obviously frankly, it's within their purview to make something happen, right? And they are very invested in potentially seeing a more sustainable solution. We've had some great examples of this, and we've had sustainability folks reach out to us and say, hey, like, we do the same thing every year. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something more impactful. It's been social impact gifts, or it's been a mix of social impact gifts and other things as well. But I love that concept of like it coming from that bigger place. And then that individual working, hand in hand with all of the different parts of their business to make sure it makes sense, of course, for their stakeholders, but that they're doing something that ultimately has bigger picture and bigger impact.
Yeah. And really connection. Tam, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I love that. I love that answer. I think it's such a forward-thinking answer. And, working with organizations like Unwrapit, where, you're trying to do something sustainable, and that's part of your values as an organization. It's part of our values as an organization at Hyphen. And it makes that whole gifting experience, like purely from an administration perspective, so much smoother, because the people you're working with have the same goals as you. You're not just going to pick up cookies or chocolates or what have you. When you find a company that is forward thinking like that and innovating like that, it's really exciting. And that relays into the gifting that your clients and your customers receive at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I mean, we talked earlier about, we also have people who want to do a little bit of a mix of things, right? You mentioned that earlier, Nat, like it doesn't have to be one or nothing, right? So certainly have done different experiences with different customers and can kind of support all of these different requirements, especially if there's different requirements across the business. I think that's really important, whether it's Unwrapit or whatever you're doing for your end of year gifting. Again, having that big picture focus, but then also thinking kind of micro as well, as like, what does each individual part of the business need? And, again, intentionality, what do they need out of this? Where are they going to see the value once this is all said and done, right?
For sure. And speaking of value, this is a really big topic. A 2018 survey found that over 80% of C-suite executives believe that business gifts generate measurable positive ROI in addition to intangible benefits. So, Linsay and Sophie and Tam, in your experience, what do you think organizations should be thinking about, in addition to being intentional, when it comes to figuring out what the return on the investment is for the gifting strategy that they might be putting together?
Yeah.
I mean, I can jump into that one first. Like, the way that gifting is going right now is a lot of things are happening online. A lot of customizations are available. In the post-COVID world, there's so many technologies at hand that allow you to do so much virtually now. And with that, your holiday gifting is an opportunity to be somewhat of a marketing campaign. So if we're going to go into gathering information, gathering data on your customers and clients, everyone likes receiving a gift. Most people will interact with an email saying there is a gift here for you. It's an opportunity to learn more about your customers' behaviors, your clients' behaviors, what interests them, what doesn't interest them. Beyond that, it's an opportunity for you as an organization to have another brand awareness touch point to continue to relay, this is who we are, this is what we stand for, and this is what's important to us. And a lot can be communicated through a thoughtful and intentional holiday gifting campaign. So making sure that you know what you want to measure, how you want to reach people, and the message that you want to relay is really important, because then you can start tracking that information and building that into other initiatives for your organization throughout the remainder of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to jump into the reporting and how it kind of captures what Tam was saying there as well, and how it's so being able to actually look back at it and see it in numbers, right, is key for sure.
Yeah. I suppose with us, we have like reporting, which I'm sure others have as well, is, you can see exactly who has chosen what. So you're not hemming and hawing about, what recipients want. If they had a choice, what would they choose? Because the proof is in the pudding. And be it paid forward options or physical gifts, as we spoke about, like the baskets, or it doesn't matter what it is, but when you have the statistics there, you're able to look back and say, oh, and it gives you a little bit more information about then your recipients' values and interests. And as Tam said, you can look back then and build on it year on year, so that you're ensuring that you're improving, and the strategy you're building upon that when it comes to the gifting time of year again. You have those stats and those numbers to look back on, which can be really useful.
Because especially it's when you actually send a gift basket, something that Lindsay, I know you mentioned before, it's really important to even be intentional and thoughtful to follow up with that person to make sure that they received it, that they know that you sent it to them, and have a conversation, which I actually feel it's that soft metrics, so to speak, that a lot of the times we forget during the holiday season because it is busy. But it's so important to be able to do that if you are not just doing the digital gifting campaign, if you're supporting it with the physical elements as well, that you follow up with people, that you touch base with them. And chances are they appreciate that a heck of a lot more, in addition to the basket, or just receiving the basket that they probably have shared with everyone at the office. And actually, as I'm speaking, I'm thinking about this. How do we know people are even in their offices today, right? Or like everybody's coming in, because even holiday events and parties are being canceled. So the gift of a digital personal ability to actually reach out to people is probably a better one, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we've found that there's a lot. We're supporting a lot of that. So even if a business is back in person in some capacity, right, it may not be in the way that it was pre-pandemic, of course. And not everyone, teams have changed, times have changed, teams have changed. People are more remote. Many organizations are more remote focused than they used to be. So they may not be able to get everyone together, at one time of the year. So we can certainly support with that. But, ultimately it's hard to know, right? Even pre-pandemic, I remember in a past life, like we used to laugh about the fact that things would arrive in the office in those weeks before the holidays, and they would be gone in seconds, right? Because of course everyone enjoyed all the goodies, etc. And sometimes the person that had the name on the to card didn't ever see it, right? They never actually saw the gift. So at minimum, that would be one of our pieces of advice, I suppose, is that if you are sending something in a more traditional way, as you said, Nat, just table stakes, check in after the holidays. Hey, I hope you received it. I hope it hit the mark. And if you are, doing something a little bit different, then obviously, with a platform type of thing, you'll be able to see that yourself. But at least following up, I think, is really key.
Yeah, and making it part of the metrics. Sophie?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like even with the reporting tools that you might have available, I don't think there's any harm in following up as well. Like, for example, we've heard that people who chose a subscription service or, a learning platform as their gift to claim, and then they said, it was so cool, thanks to your gift, I learned X, Y, and Z, which allowed me to do ABC, I claimed a gift to a local restaurant and I was able to take my family out for a lovely dinner, and, thank you so much. And, it's hearing those stories that it's not just, it's sent and it's done, but the impact then that those gifts can have on the individual and what they go able to do with them is so nice as well. And then further builds the relationship and so on. So it's nice, to have the reporting and the tracking, but then also to, have that communication afterwards to see, did you enjoy it? How did it go? And, the conversations then that can follow from that.
And I could tell that your face lights up knowing these things.
Yeah.
Because that must be like the funnest part of what you do, is just actually knowing that the gift was received and the person took advantage of it and they loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. That I put a smile on someone's face. Like that's fantastic.
Yeah. I attended the 1% for the Planet conference recently, and one of the conversations, or the questions was, how can marketing do a better job of incentivizing and incorporating kind of the environmental and sustainable elements of what the organization is doing? And the answer was, the best marketing is no marketing. And I actually fully agree with that, because the best marketing is when you don't feel that there's a marketing component to it. Yeah. Like when you send something meaningful, value focused, personalized, and you give the ability for the person to choose what they want and then touch base with them. They don't even know that there is quote unquote marketing in the back of that engine. And I think that's just such a wonderful thing that to think about if you're thinking about doing B2B gifting as part of your overall business strategy, which I think would be great. Ladies, I have one last question for you. Just some food for thought for those who are listening in. If you could give them one piece of advice to walk away with respect to incorporating or how they should move forward with their gifting strategies, what would it be?
I'll jump in first and I'll say it's October 30th. So my piece of advice would be start now. If you want to be intentional, if you haven't already, lots of folks already have. We're having lots of conversations already, but if you haven't, take today as your push to start now and figure out what you're going to do. And just to say kudos to the Hyphen team, because last year what you did was incredible. And going back to giving something with intentionality, you were very clear that you wanted to do something that was squarely in the pay it forward bracket. And we love that. And so, again, thinking about what you want the after effects to be, and keeping with your values throughout the year. And really having sitting down and have a few minutes, think about that, I think is great. Start there and then decide, what does that look like? Are we doing something more traditional? Is that our audience and that's what we want to do and that's part of our strategy? Or do we want to try something different this year? Do we want to really, really tie it to our values and what we're doing long-term throughout the year? But my biggest thing would be start now.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, I mentioned it, it's just a little bit of thought goes a huge long way, be it what you're gifting, how you're gifting it, why you're gifting it. People appreciate, especially at the time around holidays, people appreciate the personalized nature, or a curated list of gift options. It doesn't go unnoticed for a huge amount of people. And to say it one more time, it can be really impactful. So I think, a little bit of thought goes a long way, and just don't let gifting be a tick box exercise towards the end of the year.
My key takeaway is think outside of the box. Further to what Sophie and Lindsay said, tying it back to your goals, your values is so critical. Yes, start thinking about it now, but think about it outside of the box. Just because it's holiday gifting, it doesn't necessarily mean it needs to arrive in your clients' or customers' inbox or office between the days of December 20th and 27th. So start thinking about those touch points and how you can stand out in a unique way while still being thoughtful.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for doing my job for me of wrapping everything up. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as we did, and as much as we enjoyed organizing it for you. Lindsay and Sophie, a special thank you to you for taking the time, and Tam, you as well, and sharing your insights on how B2B marketing teams can contribute to business growth through strategic corporate gifting campaigns. I know it's a very short topic, but if any of you listening in have additional questions or comments, please reach out to any of us. We'd love to continue this conversation. And if you haven't already, please connect with us on LinkedIn. If you're watching this on YouTube or anywhere else, please give us a follow on LinkedIn so that you stay in the know of all of our upcoming Hyphen Lives. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your Monday. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.